Welcome back to Sports for Real. I am again Coach Hall. Well, it's official. Coach Prime is now the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. And as expected, the people of Jackson are incensed. And for good reason. Judging by the comments that I got on the last video that I shot, they feel like they have been used. And with good reason. But at the same time, if you listen to what he was saying all along, he was only focused on the now. He wasn't looking down the road at the future. So it's not unexpected that he would pack up and leave. But the question is, what about what's next? Well, for Prime, he's going into, as one commenter put it, a dumpster fire at Colorado. And there's several reasons for it. The way that the Buffaloes have entertained transfers have caused a problem for the previous coaches. And part of the deal to bring Prime in is to get rid of that one major hurdle with getting those college credits. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Colorado, they would not accept all the credits that an athlete would bring in, and it put them in question of being academically ineligible right away. But when you're dealing with the short time frame of athletic eligibility, why would an athlete want to risk the possibility of being ineligible when he can just go somewhere else? So they weren't attracting very many people from the transfer portal. So with that fix, he can bring in his players where in years past you weren't being able to do that. For instance, in the time when I was in the program, if you were a Division I athlete, you were pretty much, if you didn't like where you were, you could transfer. You could transfer down and would not lose eligibility. But the typical route that they would take, they didn't make it, they would just go to junior college and then earn a scholarship to get back to Division I. But if you were on Jackson State's level, 1AA, if you say you want to transfer to, say, Mississippi State, well, you had to sit out a whole year. You only get 5 years eligibility, 4 years of play, and one with a red shirt. And to lose a year like that, you might as well stay where you were. And the coaches knew that, so they held it over their heads. But if the same situation occurred, Sanders would not have been able to take his sons with him. So what does all this mean? He has a chance to win. He has a chance to bring in people from the transfer portal. He now does not have the facilities issues of trying to convince recruits to come play for his program. According to him, he had a couple high-profile recruits who were real close to come into his program, but in the end, he lost it due to the 1A programs because the facilities and everything they offered was just a little bit too strong. Well, he doesn't have that problem anymore, so he also doesn't have any excuses about what he can and cannot do. As I said before, he needs to win, and he needs to win in a very short order of time, or those people very likely will turn on him. Now, as for Jackson State, what do you need to do? You need to learn the lessons about what he was preaching all along. Instead of signing to play one of those games where you were expected to lose, you get $500,000. Why not get $750,000 or $800,000? You can get more money from that. Also, be more creative with the classics that you're creating. You see, like FAMU and Jackson State played the last 2 years of Miami. Well, that was ingenious. You got a lot of people from FAMU that lives in Miami and follows the program. Same thing with Jackson State. And you have Deion Sanders' home base. So all these attract crowds. And the thing about him talking about getting rid of the classics and how they didn't want to be a part of it, that was kind of a hint in itself that he wasn't going to be around very long because, as you know, the HBCUs, those are big money makers for those schools to play in those kind of classics. Take it like Jackson State and Tennessee State or the Bayou Classic with Grambling and Southern. Those are very big money makers for the schools. So the other thing that they can do, they can continue to recruit like they've been recruiting the last couple of years. You don't have to be a Hall of Famer to go in and try to get one of the best athletes. Now that the spotlight is on the HBCUs, and given the fact that everybody wants to play, and it never really mattered where you played anyway. If you can play, the scouts are going to find you. But why sit on the bench 2-3 years like you used to have to do, and you can play right away? So HBCUs are always in the conversation if you want to play. Now, what I would do, I will go out to a young hotshot coach with fresh ideas who can understand how to compete in the modern environment. Yeah, you can get some older coach, not that he can't do it, but a lot of Those coaches are resistant to these new ways of the transfer portal and things that go along with it. But the smart older ones, if you can find one, well, in particular, a coach that's been winning in the HBCU for years and who has a better understanding of how he can use the transfer portal, then go after him. Again, take a guy like Billy Joe. If he had the transfer portal, how great could he have been? So these are all things that Jackson State could do to help build a program. But having said all of that, I think in a situation that Prime was in, he almost had to take that opportunity. And I think one of the reasons he's doing it is because he wants to show everybody that, hey, he can win on the Division I level too. Why? Except the fact that you're only going to play an HBU schedule, and you can only be limited in how far you go. As good as Jackson State was, and the defense was supposed to be great, you had no place to showcase it. The place for them to be was in the playoffs. But due to the way that the SWAC schedules, it was impossible for that team to get put out there on the national level. What they should have done was allow FAMU to go play in the SWAC championship game. They should have accepted a bid to the playoffs, and then we could have seen exactly what this team could have done. I wish he would have stayed. I would like to see if he could have built a Division I team on Jackson State's level, on the 1AA level, and just to see how good that program can get. It was a shot in the arm for everybody, but he's not the only one that can do that. So it's up to HBCUs to just don't take the fact that he left as a negative. Use the positive that he created, and let's shoot for the moon.